Church today? We'll get to that in a minute. Last week, James started off the core series very well. It's a tough act to follow. He did a great job talking about building community. If you did not catch his message, I would encourage you to go online and watch that. It is well worth your time. But building community is not just for adults. It's for the whole family. Now, you probably knew that, but as I talk about another one of our core values this morning, champion family, I hope that you're going to begin to understand in an even deeper way, in maybe a different way, how important building community is, not just for adults, but for all of us. Now, before I get to my message today, I kind of want to establish something because it's important. I want to establish that we're friends, right? Are we friends? I mean, I know some of you better than others, but we're like the kind of friends that would share things with one another, right? I mean, can I feel safe in this space? I hope so. Because today we're headed back to Ephesians 4, and if you recall last week, we looked at Ephesians 4:15. It says, "We will speak the truth in love, growing every way more and more like Christ." And one question that Pastor James asked us all to consider was, who do you have that can speak truth into your life? Or another way he put it was, who are you allowing to call you out when your life is outside of the gospel? So, friends, if anything that I say today applies to you, I hope you'll take it from me as your friend, speaking the truth in love into your life. Okay, let's get to the rolling toolbox. I got this for Christmas, and I'm just starting to transfer my tools into it, okay? And I'm only just beginning to use it, but I'm already loving it because it's helping me to get my tools organized, and it makes the tools that I've got even more useful because it's portable. Now my tools are portable. I can take them anywhere. But with that comes a confession. Because you're my friends, I feel like I can confess this. I have way more tools than a guy with my limited ability, my limited handiness should have. Here's the deal. I am on the low end of competence. I am not a carpenter. I'm not an electrician. I'm not a plumber. I'm not a good mechanic on my car. You know what I am good at? I am excellent at justifying a purchase. And so, because of that, I have a box full of tools. Now, I don't always use what I've got. I'll get to that in a minute. But here's an example. So recently, the tires on my car needed rotating. Now, the last time they needed rotating, I took it someplace and I paid someone to do it. And if you guys know me, anytime I open up my wallet, that's like so painful for me. And so I really hate to pay someone to do something that's so easy that I can do myself. And it seemed like a lot to pay to do that. And then there was this other factor at play. You see, I have this impact driver. And it came with a set of tools that I bought, and I've hardly used it at all. Now, I've used the drill and the saw. I've used some of the other tools more, but I almost never use that impact driver. And I was thinking to myself, how cool it would be with those lug nuts going on and off. I don't know. I know you're like, he's like 5 playing with tools, like imagining he's the mechanic. Well, yeah, sort of. Anyway, I was thinking that would be like super fun. And here's the other thing, though, that I know. It is important when you put the lug nuts back on to torque them to the right specification. I mean, at least that's what everybody online says. So the problem was I didn't have a torque wrench. Well, let me be honest. I have a torque wrench, but I didn't have a torque wrench that would torque to the specification of lug nuts. The one I have is like a small one for my bicycle. That's a whole other thing. So anyway, I looked up what it would cost me to get a torque wrench, and then I justified the cost of buying one because that meant that rotating my tires this time, I wouldn't have to pay someone. And not just this time, all the times in the future that I might have to put a tire back on, want to make sure the lug nuts are on the right torque and everything. So it's like it's not even going to cost me to buy a torque wrench. It's practically free. And It means I get to use some of my other tools, like my impact driver, and I also have a floor jack. I'm making better use out of what I have. See, I'm justifying this to you right now. Here's the other thing. If I'm doing this, I'm getting exercise. Clearly, I need the exercise instead of just sitting in a waiting room while someone else does work that I can do. So, as a result of all of that, I bought this torque wrench. I know that was a long story to go, talk about this torque wrench. But that basic scenario, that reasoning, is how I've ended up with so many tools. And I don't really use them that much, so I don't need to spring for top-of-the-line stuff, guys. I know some of you are like tool judgy, and you're like, hey, that is not a Milwaukee tool. And you're judging me now, but trust me, I don't use them that much, so I don't have to have top-of-the-line. Now, here's the other thing. I'm happy to lend my tools to my friends. They're practically new, and since we've already established that you guys are my friends, if anybody needs a torque wrench, I do happen to have one that I recently acquired, and I'm happy to let you borrow it. Now, another thing that I mentioned before was that I'm not always great at putting the tools that I have to good use. Here's the thing. Sometimes I get started into a project or I start working on something, and I forget I actually have a tool that would make this easier, that would make me more effective, that would help this go faster or better. I just don't think about it. I mean, I think we can all agree that power tools make things better, right? Am I right? Okay, but here's the deal. I was cleaning my tub and shower with a plain old sponge. Yes, and then I read that you can use these attachments on your drill, which I already had. This was not an additional purchase, by the way. I already had these for my car, and I was like, it brought shower cleaning and tub cleaning to a whole new level. Now, I could talk about my unhealthy tool obsession for a while, but we really should get back to today's point. Here's the thing. We do a lot of things at Grace, okay? And that's a good thing. And some of you faithfully participate in just about everything that we do. But today, I want you to think about why. I want you to think about why from a couple of aspects. One, let's consider, why do we even offer the things that we put in your hands, the events that we do? And then second, let's talk about, why are you participating? Why do you even come to it? Or if you're not, why not? You see, I look at the things that we do as tools. That means that you have a whole number of tools available to you to help you to be a better disciple and to help your family to be better disciples. Grace provides these tools to you, and most of them are free of charge. So the question of why do we offer them could also be asked, do you even know what each tool is for? And the question of why are you participating or why are you not might come out as the question of, are you using the tools? And if you're not using them, why not? And whether you use the tools that we provide or you don't use some of them, another good question is, do you actually know what the tool is for? Do you know the best way to use it? Or do you need to look up on YouTube and see, how am I supposed to use the tools Grace provides? So, why do we offer them is the first question. And I would like to answer that by talking a little bit about our strategy of why we do the things that we do. We find this strategy actually in Ephesians 4, verses 11 and 12. So let's look at those. Now, these are the gifts Christ gave to the church: the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, and the pastors and teachers. Their responsibility is to equip God's people to do his work and build up the church, the body of Christ. So we see in verse 11 that Christ laid the foundation with the New Testament apostles and prophets, and then he also gave evangelists that would spread that good news, and finally, pastors and teachers. Why did he give the church all of these different people? Verse 12 tells us it was so that they could equip God's people. That's you, to equip you to do the work and to build up the church. And that's really our bottom line, or our main point, if you want to call it today, is that Grace champions family by using God's strategy of equipping so that his church is built up. Grace champions family by using God's strategy of equipping so that his church is built up. Now, the way that we do that here at Grace involves a lot of different tools. I like to call these tools points of partnership. And each ministry has several points of partnership to equip you. Now, this simply means that you have a lot of different tools, and every ministry has tools. The men's ministry, community life, women's ministry, all of our ministries, including the family ministry, provide you with a number of tools that are going to help build you up, help you to be effective. But I call them points of partnership because partnership is the key part. We have a lot of tools, but you have to actually use the tool. If you are not partnering, the tool is not effective. Now, maybe it's not your fault. I'll give you this sometimes. Maybe we get you excited about a tool that we offer, but maybe we didn't clearly explain what it's for or how you use it. Maybe we should do some YouTube videos because you guys watch YouTube, right? All right, for example, let's say that you came last month to Jingle Jam. Jingle Jam was awesome. It was so much fun. That's one of 4 family experiences that we provide. We do one at Easter. We do one right before Trunk or Treat. We do one at VBS. And they're fun, sometimes even hilarious. But if you only came so that you could laugh and eat some cookies and see Santa, you're not taking advantage of the tool that we provided. It would be like me getting all excited about a tool because it's shiny and new and maybe it even spins. But then I don't actually use this tool. I don't use it to drill holes. I don't use it to drive in screws. I mean, I like the tool. I'm for the tool. I'm going to tell people about this tool. This is great. You should get one of these. But if I'm not actually using it, I have become a collector, not a workman. 2 Timothy 2:14 reminds me that I need to be a workman approved by God, one who does not need to be ashamed, but handles the word of truth correctly. When God's truth is presented, we need to use it. We need to help our families use it. We need to apply it. Not just enjoy how it was presented. Not just agree with it. Not just go, yeah. That is not handling the word of truth correctly. You know what? This service this morning is a tool that Grace provides. But if truth is presented and you're like, I'm going to give that a B, that was a pretty decent message. The worship was pretty good, it's not about evaluating that. It's are you correctly handling truth when it is presented? Because a power drill is not just for drilling holes, right? It's not just for screwing things in. It can be used to clean your shower, okay? It has a lot of different uses, but you actually have to use it. Oh, by the way, similarly, kids ministry, it's not just for kids, okay? In fact, our family experience, which is a part of kids ministry, is a place where kids and their parents can have a shared experience based around biblical principles. It's an experience for the whole family, and it is a lot like a drill because it has multiple purposes. A power drill like this can be used for a lot of different things. So can the family experience. You can use it to reach beyond our walls because you can invite those that might not come to a service to like this fun event where they are going to hear truth. You can also use it to connect with your kids because, if you're watching a funny TV show and you'd be like, remember when so-and-so did this? Well, you have that shared experience now, and you remember when Roy or John Michael did something stupid on the stage, and you're laughing about it with your family, so you can connect with them. You can also use it to connect the biblical truth we learned into their daily lives. So like a drill, it has a lot of different uses. And the reason we choose to go to all the trouble to put something on like a family experience is because it can be used in so many ways. And not only that, it works together with the other tools that we provide. You might not know this, but our family experience covers the same principle or virtue, the same thing that we're covering on Sunday mornings. Now, of course, in December, what was the family experience about? It was all about Jesus' birth, right? Well, guess what we were talking about on Sunday morning, which is, by the way, our Sunday morning environments. The kids are over there right now. They were learning all about Jesus' birth as well. Now, small group leaders are a key part of that. So, small group leaders, they're important in every single area of our church. In fact, I would say they're kind of like a knife. And the reason I chose a knife, and please don't try to take my analogies too far because they're pretty weak, but the reason I chose a knife is because I was reading this article on Forbes. Well, you know, I was actually just Googling it and reading parts of it that I wanted. But anyway, you know how the internet works. And they ranked the knife as the #1 most impactful tool of all human civilization. And that's how I feel about our small group leaders in Sunday mornings, because we know how important it is to have someone else speaking truth into the life of kids and students in addition to their parent. Someone that's praying with them, someone that is encouraging them. That's why they're a key part of our strategy. Like the knife, they are essential. But here's the deal. We can't do ministry without our small group leaders. I mean, you're going to need a knife at some time or other. But it's not as effective. Our small group leaders are not as effective if you are not partnering with them. That's why it's important you know who your kid or student small group leader is, and you carry on those conversations with them throughout the week. And have we got a way for you to do that? It's called the Parent Cue. And the Parent Cues are available in an app, and they're also available in the paper copies that we hand out. What are those designed for? You know, we said the main point here of this particular point is that kids ministry isn't just for kids. Let me just have you guess from the name Parent Cue, who is that for? Yeah, I mean, it's part of kids ministry. It's going to help your kids, but that's for you, parents. And here's the deal. We actually provide 2 forms of this. Some of you like the paper, just the traditional regular screwdriver, but I prefer this ratcheting one. It makes the work so much easier. So if you want to go online, think of that. So we provide 2 versions of this, and you can use whichever one you like. It doesn't matter. They are both going to be helpful for you. It's like, well, it's like the 2 different kinds of screwdrivers. Okay, so the Parent Cue is for parents, and here's the deal. It's going to help you to talk about what we talked about on Sunday morning. So you see, the family experience talked about Christmas. We were talking about Christmas on Sunday mornings. We sent home Parent Cues that help you talk about Jesus' birth at home and throughout the week. Today, in the elementary area, we're actually taking a little detour from what we normally talk about, and we've got another tool. And this tool is called Jumpstart. And Jumpstart helps make sure you're on the level. Now, I mean, I wish I had a compass, but I didn't have one in my toolbox. Jumpstart is a fantastic tool. We're going to be talking about baptism. We're going to be talking about why is baptism important, why it might be your next step in your faith journey. And our Parent Cue today that we're going to send home is going to give you the opportunity to have a conversation about faith and about baptism with your kids this week. Then, if they're ready, if that's their next step, we're going to have baptism meetings next week, and you can meet with me or Amy and have a conversation about whether or not they're ready for baptism. And we're doing all of this timed out before our baptism that's coming up on February 2nd. Our Jumpstart this week, our baptism meetings next week. Again, it's just a couple of additional tools that we're providing here at Grace. Because our challenge is to rescue a generation of kids and students. And we look at it as a rescue because kids these days are in danger. And we do that by looking with the end in mind. In other words, we say, what teaching should we provide? What event should we do that will help us hit the outcome at the end when they're entering for elementary kids, middle and high school, when they're entering the workforce or college if they are middle and high school students? When they look back, where are they going to be? Are they going to walk away from church like so many do because that's something my parents made me come to? Or are they going to be like, no, those are the tools for living. God has the answers for life. The Bible is the handbook for not just how to have a better life, but how to be better at life. We want those elementary kids to make wise choices. We want them to know they can trust God no matter what, and we want them to treat others as they would like to be treated. So over and over, we cover these topics with them. And just like our elementary kids learn like the same virtue or topic throughout the month, so do our preschoolers for a whole month, because that helps them. It drives it in. Just like, if I said just do it, that was like an ad from years and years ago, but most of you would like immediately know, right? Or if I said eat more chicken. It's not because their message is more effective or compelling than the Bible. It's because they repeated it over and over. So we do that throughout the month. We do that over and over. This month, our preschoolers are learning that Jesus is our friend. He's a good friend, whether you're afraid, whether you are happy, whether you are excited or sad. And they're going to hear Bible stories. They're going to do activities that relate specifically to their age. It helps them to begin to understand God and His plan. They're going to be learning over the course of their preschool time that God made me, God loves me, and Jesus wants to be my friend forever. And guess what? Parent cues also available in 2 forms for your preschooler. So I hope that you will take advantage of those. They give you ideas of how you can talk about what they learn here on Sunday at key times, like in the car. What else are you doing? At bath time, at meal time. You see, all of these tools are working together to help you as you disciple your kids, because no one has more influence in a kid's life than a parent or a guardian, that person that is caring for them. Because we get like maybe an hour a week, and you can't make it every week, so maybe we have 40 or 50 hours in the week, in the whole year. You have more like 1,000 hours. Some of you are like, yes, I'm painfully aware of how many hours I have with my children. No, you love your kids, right? But that means you have more chance for influence. And so we want to equip you. We want to partner with you. That's our job, because you are doing a very important job. Another tool that we provide that's coming up is Baby D. Baby D is our baby dedication. The info meeting is coming up on February 16th, and then the ceremony is going to be on the 22nd. And I don't really have a tool for this, but, we're trying to plant something, so I like a little gardening implement. Here's the deal. Baby D, it's not just for the babies, right? Most of them will not remember what happens. It's for the rest of you, and not just parents. It's for grandparents, for small group leaders, for other influencers. It's really for the whole church, because all of you are going to be using these tools to help mold and disciple these kids. It's something, again, we're doing with the end in mind. It's not about that beginning as much as it is the path that we are putting that child on through baby dedication. We want to make sure that they begin to know God, His love, His plan from them from the very beginning. So if you have got a baby, which really anyone up through age 2, toddlers as well, and you are interested in Baby D, you should come to our info meeting. That doesn't commit you to anything, but it's really important that you're at that meeting if you do want to participate in the ceremony on March 22nd. So even if you're just a little interested, put that on your calendar and join us then. Now, we also have a lot of other tools in kids ministry, like camp, VBS, family serve. All of those tools have a purpose. They have a reason. They help you disciple. I'm not going to get into the detail of all of them. But if you ever have a question and you're like, why does Grace do that? I hope that you will come and ask me, or you will ask, more importantly, our children's director, Amy Sickle. How can I make the most use of this tool? We are here to help you, to equip you, and to partner with you. All right, let's move on to students. As you're looking at your outline, you're probably like, I know what goes in that blank. Student ministry isn't just for students. But if you're honest, some of you are like, no, it's totally for students. Please keep me away. And you would even be more that way if you were here on Friday night. Hopefully you can't tell it this morning, but Friday night, this room was host to a giant jousting ring where kids were knocking each other off, and there was a big bounce house over here, and then we had a DJ up here pumping out some music. Okay, some of you got that. Anyway, and the lights were going crazy. It was a ton of fun. But the craziness wasn't just in here. We had karaoke going. We had an area where they could chill out. They did some painting and crafts, actually some very impressive stuff, or they could play board games or whatever, and there was food. And then we even had a video game truck pulled up to that garage door. It was really cool, just like TVs all along the wall, and then like kids sitting there just having so much fun. So, why did we do that? Well, in student ministry, special events like that, again, they're like this multi-purpose tool like the family experience is. Because kids could invite their friends, so it was a great way to reach beyond the walls. Isaac shared the gospel. It was an opportunity that maybe some of them wouldn't have had. We had over 70 kids here on Friday night. And thank you for those of you that volunteered, helped clean up, helped set up and do that. It was called Mirth, and again, it's a tool that we provide. Now, most of our tools don't have an agenda item when I'm looking at it that was like chaos. It was like, we're going to eat at this time, and then I'm going to give the message, the gospel presentation, and then it was just like chaos, and it was like this 3-hour block. But there was purpose in that, because not only did they hear the gospel, they also got an opportunity to build community with other people that are in their small groups, and with small group leaders who were here helping with the event. All of that, we believe, is going to result in more students joining us on Mondays, and Mondays are like the big show for student ministry, and again, small group leaders, their knife, they are so important. And your small group leaders, if you have a student, you should know who they are. They're praying for your student. They want to know what's going on with your student. They want to help push them further in their faith or push them toward faith if they don't have it. Our goal in student ministry is that they would pursue a faith of their own. They would grow in their understanding of who God is. They would live in a way that honors God. And they would share their faith with a world that is lost. And of course, special events and Monday nights are not the only tools that we have. Isaac also sends out emails, and those emails have the parent cue in them for the month. Now, you don't connect with a middle or high schooler the same way you do a preschooler. Like bath time is not one of the times on that parent cue. So it's important that each age and stage is different. But we want to provide that info with you so you know what we're talking about, and you can ask them about that, and you can help them apply what they're learning on Mondays to what they have to face that many of us never had to face each and every day of the week. Now, we also have retreats, we have camps, we have other tools like the 6th grade preview, and we called our class Taming Your 6th Grade Monster. That was designed to help parents as they help their kids make a big transition from elementary into middle school. All of these are important tools for your students and for you. So let's jump back to that why question again. Why are these the tools that we provide? Why should you care about all of these tools? Well, I said before, we're trying to rescue a generation of kids and students. We're trying to make sure they don't walk away from their faith. It's ultimately going to be up to them, but we can't have a faith for our kids, by the way. If you thought you could, you can't. But you can put them in environments where their faith is more likely to grow. I mean, I don't know much about growing, but I know a lot about killing plants, and if they're not in the right environment, they're just not going to grow. So the same thing is true. Because the reason you should care is because this generation that's coming up, they're very important to us, especially those of us that are getting a bit older, because they are going to be running things. They're going to be running this church. They're going to be running the businesses out there, the government. They are going to be ruling the world. And our goal is that they rule the world God's way and that they follow God's plan, not the world's plans. So whether you like kids or not, you should care about them, and you should care about their faith and their future, because their future is your future as well. So, we believe that there's nothing more important than the mission of rescuing a child who is spiritually lost or in danger. And we also know that having them come to church once or twice, even being raised in a Christian family, is not a guarantee that they are rescued, because there's more to it than tradition. There's more to it than being good. Consider this: 83% of people will accept Christ by the time they are age 13. And their moral character is defined usually by the time they are 9. It doesn't mean that changes can't happen, but with those stats, we need to act quickly. We need to have the right strategy. We need to go at it. and use it well. And our strategy is to partner with you, again, because you have so much more time than we do, and you have so much more influence. Parents are the primary disciplers of their kids, whether they want to be or not. And our partnership, though, it's not just with parents, it is with all of you, and I would encourage you all to get involved. Some of you know you should be leading a small group because something significant happened for you when you were in middle school, and you need to pour that back in. Or maybe you're great with preschoolers or elementary kids. Some of you, that's not you, and that's okay. God has you serving in another way. We partner in a lot of different ways. So get involved in one of the ministries. Some of you are great with decor, and you can help decorate for the family experiences or in our environments or a Married People Live. Some of you are like, I don't have any special skills. Well, can you clean up? You're like, I don't like to, but maybe the time for you to act is now. Or maybe you can just donate to sponsor a kid to go to camp, and that might be a life-changing week in their life that they couldn't afford otherwise. All right, well, let's move on to our final point. Surprisingly, I surprised myself with this one. Marriage ministry isn't just for married people. Okay, so I did struggle making this a point, but, I like things where there's symmetry, and it actually does work out. Now, we do offer things like Married People Live. To be clear, it is only for married people. Do not sign up if you are single. This is a Married People event. It's coming up on February 14th. Here's the deal. You can make your reservations today. You can avoid the chaos that everyone else is going to be facing on Valentine's Day because we have this tool for you. Oh. Guys, am I going to have to beat you in the head with this to get you to use this tool? That's why I picked the hammer, and I actually started with a small hammer, and I was like, no, we really need to be reprimanded in a way. Okay, so here's the deal. It's going to be a classy evening. It's going to be a romantic evening. And unlike other restaurants, unlike movie theater, we provide childcare. So that is awesome. Along with fun and inspiration, even if you don't need the child care. Married People, like our other events, Married People Live, it helps enrich marriages. Our goals within our married ministry is that you would have serious fun with each other, that you would love and respect each other, that you would love God first, and we want to give you an opportunity to practice your promise. So, to help you do that, we have all of these other things, including date night, Married People Conference, Find Your Couple. That actually was a way for couples to connect, either as mentor or mentee or to walk side by side. It came out of our conference. We have impact groups that are formed around marriage topics, and we have the Married People monthly emails. All of those things are just for married people. So why did I make this bullet point? Marriage ministry isn't just for married people. And I know some of you are thinking, you're like smart, and you're like, it's because you have child care, so it's also for kids. I mean, that's a good guess, but that's not really it. The reason marriage ministry isn't just for married people is because marriage is an institution that is ordained by God. It is His picture of Christ and His church. It provides stability to our country and to our nation. And when it's going right, there is that stability. There is that fulfillment, not just for married people, but for all of us. But when marriages are not strong, there are negative consequences. So to help explain this, I've got this video. Take a look. And that is why marriage ministry is for all of us. It is so important to our church, to our country. Our goal is to avoid all of those issues that occur when marriages aren't healthy, and those issues affect us whether we're married or not. So, our strategy is to equip you with these different points of partnership. But as I said before, it doesn't work unless you partner with us. You got to use the tools that are available. So, our application question for today that's on your form right there in your bulletin is, what tools should you use this year to disciple and to make better disciples? That's our final point, our final application question. What tools should you use this year to be a better disciple and to make better disciples? As I've talked about all of these different tools and the other tools that Grace provides, what are you doing to take advantage of them? How are you partnering with us? It doesn't mean you have to do every single thing that Grace does, but you need to look at those and say, how is this going to help my family to grow? Because we want your family's relationship with Jesus to grow, and that's why we're providing these tools. So I hope as you take advantage of a Parent Cue or you come to a Married People Live, you will think about, how is that going to make me a better disciple? How am I going to help my family to be better disciples? Let's pray. Father, you've given us a big task, but you're a big God. Thank you for the creativity that you have given so many people to come up with different ways to share the truth that does not change. I just pray that each one of us would take advantage of the tools that you direct us to in this year so that we can be more devoted to you, so that we can draw closer to you, and as a result, draw closer to our spouses, to our families, to our church family. Guide and direct us in this year. Help us to be willing to step out and partner together. Pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, you guys have a great week. We will have people down here at the front if you need prayer, and we will see you next week as we continue the core series.